So there's still hope.
I don't want hope. Hope is killing me. My dream is to become hopeless. When you're hopeless, you don't care. And when you don't care, that indifference makes you attractive.
You take it for granted, not afraid to cut it loose. I found someone better than you. And you try too hard for everything, but ooh, time I take my shit and leave. So you realize I'm only what you need. Cause I got a lot on my mind right now, but I think I just figured it out. Bye-byes got me stressed out, outstretched cause I'm let down, left out cause I'm so loud, out static for no sound. Thought working was too cheap wine and I'm thirsty, third nap in a whole week, no way, I mean no sleep. I've been running through my thoughts, I think you know that. I start thinking way too much, I get lost too bad. You believe that I'm all talk and I can't go back, and I can't go back. You give me a neon song, been buzzing all night about you. You give me a contact high, one touch and I know I'm through.
This is DJ Blake, and my next two guests may be the next music power couple of our generation. She sings and he produces. It's my pleasure to introduce Laureli and Moses.
Too many weeks since I crawled out from all the sheets. I've been absorbed and all the work is piling up.
I got so many responsibilities.
We not gon' play no hide and seek. Now that I found you is for keep. I got your name across my chest.
Welcome back, everyone. This is DJ Blake, keeping you up to date with all the hottest hip-hop news and sneaker talk. And today I'm with a very special guest, the one and only Laureli.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go. So, how are other ways people pronounce your name? Because you said I got it right on the first time, so that's lucky.
I get Laureli a lot.
Laureli?
is the most common.
That sounds like a chocolate.
Yeah, it's weird because Lorelai is like an actual human being name. And Laureli is I don't know what.
Weird.
Yeah.
And you're here today with your producer, right?
Yes, producer, engineer, boyfriend.
Oh, that's amazing. He's growing his hair out just like me.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce your name?
Moses Ray Walker. Simple.
Cool.
That's my full name. Just
Cool.
was nice. So.
I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
So you guys both go by your stage names are your names.
No, I didn't get so lucky. My name is actually Lauren.
Lauren? Wait, how'd you get Laureli then? What?
So my middle name is Elizabeth, so I just took the first few letters of each of them.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it just so happens that it's an actual name too.
Yeah, I got
Weird. I'm guessing that's only like a girl name though.
Yeah, for sure.
Because my name is a boy and girl name. I've been finding a lot of names that are actually boy and girls names. Like I didn't know Devin was a girl name.
Yeah.
I didn't know Blair was a girl name.
Mm-hmm. Jamie is another weird one.
Yeah, Jamie.
Yeah.
I think of Jamie Foxx when I think of Jamie. I don't even think of it as a...
Yeah.
But yeah,
Jamie
weird.
Foxx, sure.
But here we are, and I'm excited to be here with you. You know, it's all about making connections. Like, my thing is, if someone isn't an artist themselves, they most likely know an artist, you know?
Definitely, especially in Seattle.
Absolutely.
Yes, so I'm lucky enough you are my number 2 girl now for my
Awesome.
podcast, so it's really exciting. I think it's really important. I was telling you also to get, like, a feminine perspective of Seattle, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it's actually probably a pretty split ratio when you actually are looking for genders. Like,
For sure.
a lot of the guys have been reaching out to me, but I think girls are just as well at music, you know, and just
Yeah.
as driven. So thanks again for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So how long have you been making music now?
I've been writing and singing since I was like 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
But I started producing about 2 years ago, and then put out my first EP on Spotify last November.
Wow, wait, how old are you again? I don't know. I
17.
think 17. What?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, this artist that we had like a week or 2 ago, he's only 16, so
Who is it?
his name is King Swiper.
Nice.
He's an interesting fellow. That
That's
interview
cool.
should be out soon, but yeah, so are you from Seattle originally?
I am, yeah. I grew up in Woodinville until like 5th grade, but I don't really count that.
Right. So now are you in Seattle now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
I'm on Capitol Hill. So
Cap
I
Hill.
claim Seattle.
Okay, tell people who are not from Seattle what Cap Hill is like.
Cap Hill is definitely
It's
the coolest
active.
place to be. It's super active. Yeah, there's always something to do. We
Yes.
go out a lot at night, and it's never like figuring out what we're gonna do. We just go and find
Right.
something.
It's such a welcoming place too. They got everyone up there, the LGBTQ community.
Yes,
They have
sir.
They have Numos up there.
Yeah, I mean,
Tons
it's
of
super
restaurants. They got good sneaker stores like Bait.
good. Mhm.
Dude, Bait, that's like a that's
Definitely
insane.
the best left field fashion place in Seattle.
Right.
Tokayo also.
Yeah, it's I love Seattle, I'm not going to lie. And I
do
think
too. We frequent Lost Lake,
Lost Lake, what's that?
Ah, it's the best
24-hour
diner.
diner.
What? 24 hour?
Mhm.
Is it better than like
Best
IHOP
diner
or
in
Dick's?
Seattle.
Oh,
Way better than both.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I need to check
I
that.
love Dick's, but Lost Lake. Come
Pause,
on
but yeah.
Top tier.
I love food, so anywhere.
go
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So, how did you and your boyfriend / producer get together?
We actually met through the same person we met.
Oh, wow.
I went to school with this girl, and we went to separate high schools, and she introduced me to Moses.
Wow.
Yeah, we actually didn't
Sure.
even start working on music together until a couple months into our relationship.
Oh, wow. Did you guys both know you guys were making music, though?
Yeah.
Not really, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I
in the
did.
beginning, like it wasn't like, oh, we met because we both do music and whatever. It was just we met, and it just so happened that we were both doing music, and at the time, neither of us were doing like anything. I mean,
Right.
We're still small, but we're like doing the best that we can and making moves, quote unquote. Yeah, so kind of a cool story.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to put out anything. without
Right.
him.
So, does he charge you for
No.
producing?
I should though.
Not.
That's cool. So, you guys, how long you guys been together now?
A year and a half.
Wow. So, that's a long time to be able to understand each other's musical
Yeah.
talents.
Yeah,
and
for sure. We met a year before that, though, and we
Right.
were just like friends and whatnot. And yeah, it just so happened that when we started to get together and stuff was when we were more
Right.
getting into music and stuff.
So, what do you guys agree on musically and disagree on musically?
A lot. There's a lot.
That's a funny one.
We have, I think our taste in music goes together really well because we both definitely like different things, but we can very easily introduce something to the other person and know that they're gonna like it.
Yeah, I mean, more recently I'm kind of dismissive of most music in general, but I love to hear what she wants
Right.
to hear because she has a great music taste. So yeah.
What type of genres are you guys both in?
I have a hard time figuring that out, but I think for right now I'm going with trap pop.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I listen to broad category of rock, from like Zeppelin to Seattle stuff like Alice in Chains.
Yeah, that's sick.
And I would even consider Bob Marley to be rock.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Are you guys both from Seattle then?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely from Seattle. I'm from South Seattle,
Hey.
Miami Beach area.
Wow.
Big.
Yeah. So, what does Seattle mean to each of you guys?
I feel really lucky to have been growing up in Seattle because it's definitely very easy. It was really easy to get started on what I wanted to do. I feel fortunate to be in a place that can kind of foster my creativity and has a lot of outlets for that.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And it's weird because when you grow up in a place like Seattle, you think like, oh, the big cities, New York, LA, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, Seattle is a big city itself.
Right.
Even though it is much smaller than those places. But I think that's the beauty in it is there is plenty of opportunity, but we kind of have to make it ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not already there, so it just pushes, I think, a lot of Seattle artists, including ourselves, even harder because we have to make those opportunities and stuff like that.
Right.
So I love Seattle. Great place.
I think has potential to become more like New York, Atlanta, LA.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Just everyone needs to come together, you know. So, when you guys go out and about, are you guys individually making connections, or are you guys together when you're able to form connections?
I think there's a lot of both.
Mixture of both, but really I've been on the low key. She's been doing all her thing.
Right.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot.
So how easy or hard is it for you to make connections with Laureli and you?
Sometimes it's pretty hard. I get dismissed by a lot of people, probably partially due to the fact that I'm a woman. Also, I get a lot of people asking me how old I am, and a good amount of people are like a good amount of people, it's like a good reaction. But I'm always a little hesitant to tell other artists that I want to work with how old I am, because I find that a lot of times it's like a turnoff.
What? That's ageist.
Yeah, it's
It really
frustrating.
is. It really is.
So what do you mean by dismissive by other artists?
Like I'll just reach out to people and then they get kind of flaky or not hit me back, or I'll be like, they'll ask how old I am and seem interested in working with me, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm 17. And they'll be like, oh, that's cool. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Look at Billie Eilish. She's huge right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so weird.
So what about you? Like, is it easy for when you're out and about actually looking for connections? Because you said you're being low
For
key
sure.
right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's a little easier since I have like things that people want. Like they want an engineer, they want a producer,
Right.
instead of just like, hey, I'm a singer, let's work together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to just be like, hey, I'll do this for you, blah blah blah, for free or whatever.
Right.
So it's easy, but really, I'm not doing that right now. So.
Right. So, are you an artist also, or are you more just on the producing side?
I'm definitely more on the production side and engineering, mixing, mastering. And I don't have like real intentions of like being a rapper or whatever,
Right.
or stuff like that, but I don't know. I have some ideas. I'm not really gonna speak on it though.
Right. That's a cool combo though. You're
Yeah.
dating and you're both bring something to the
pretty
table. Wow. So how'd you get started into producing?
Personally, like I was like big on the internet when I was like early teens, 11, 12, preteen era, and that was when like Skrillex and EDM was getting really giant, and I was like, how are they doing this? Literally, how are these sounds coming out? These are not instruments, and I was playing saxophone and stuff, so I was like, how is this even happening? So I started getting on the internet, whatever. I didn't have the materials to be able to do that and start, but that's my story pretty much.
Right. So do you guys have a studio that you guys share, or do you go out and just have someone who has a studio, or how does that work?
He actually last Christmas built me a home studio.
What?
So I have a little
Oh,
space
yeah.
in my basement. And it's definitely very helpful because you don't have to go out and pay for studio time. I have a
Wow.
couple friends with a studio. But usually when or if I do go to a studio, it's due to someone else who's producing my music. So I recently have a song coming out soon with Samurai Dell.
Who's Samurai Dell?
Samurai Dell, he's a pretty popular producer, DJ in Seattle.
Okay.
But yeah, so when I do go to studios, it's usually due to people like that. I have a song coming out with him on December 5th.
Ooh.
But we went to the Ruby Room to record that with
Wow.
Elon Wright, which was super cool. And then just this morning, actually, we were at Lang Studios up in Shoreline.
Right. That's cool.
That's a crazy ass place.
Yeah,
it's
it's,
like
like,
a big ass
super cool.
mansion.
Oh wow.
It's a hella huge mansion. There's like a 40-foot like reverb chamber like
What?
in the basement. Like they like
Yeah.
dug.
He
It
dug out a
feels like it
giant
goes
hole
on forever, but it
underneath everything.
a lot of Seattle history, a lot of Nirvana
crazy.
stuff recorded there. Alice in Chains. Stuff
Wow.
Like that. Yeah, really cool.
So do you guys find it easier to work with a certain genre, or like who do you find yourself? What crowd do you see do you see yourself with most of the time?
For me, I usually gravitate towards hip hop or trap producers, just because that's what I'm used to recording over. Because he usually produces
Yes,
that type
sir.
of music.
Not really anymore, but
Yeah.
Right.
that is what I'm more comfortable with. What I started out doing and making, but yeah, I'm kind of taking a break from producing and stuff right now.
Gotcha. So do you have other producers also then, or is he like your main producer, or how does that work?
He's my main producer. I get reached out to from a lot of other producers around Seattle, or just through Instagram.
Right.
But there are definitely a lot of cool producers in Seattle that I have or would love to work with.
Shout out Joe.
Yeah,
Shout out.
Joe.
How do you guys promote yourself?
I usually use Instagram. I'm trying to move over into the Facebook ad space. And I'm also trying to figure out the whole TikTok thing, which I was a little reluctant to do, but it's actually a super great platform for artists in this day.
Shout out Lil Nas X.
Yeah, I always thought TikTok was lit, so people are late, but I knew it was fire.
Right. So, how often are you? Because you have a home studio now.
Yeah.
So how often are you working at your home studio?
I don't actually use it unless I have a song to record. Most of the time, if I'm just writing, I do it like in my bedroom or wherever I am. But when I record, I would say I usually end up recording there about 95% of the time.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Do you focus on your lyrics first before hearing a beat, or do you listen to a beat and get inspiration from that?
I used to always write lyrics first just because I didn't know how to produce, and that was kind of my only option. And I feel like I'm a lot more creative when I do lyrics first. But as I have evolved as a musician, it tends to be easier to go beat first because I always have beats to write to, and then I want to turn into songs.
Right. So you're still in school right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Writing Star program, so I will graduate 2020.
I'll be there at your graduation. I'm just kidding. Do you have any classes that you do that help you musically at all, or is it?
I took one last quarter. I took just a mixing class, which was super fun, but there's not a whole lot offered at Seattle Central that helps me meet my graduation requirements, so I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to do that.
So where do you go when you're looking for help if you're stuck musically or beat-wise or?
I go to Moses very often. It's also definitely helpful for me to just take a little time away and then come back later. One of my other sort of regular producers, his name is Joseph Rosario, and he's produced a couple of the songs that I have out. But I also go to him because he has a lot of musical theory knowledge, which is helpful.
Joe's a great guy.
Yeah,
great producer too, and engineer.
Right.
Yeah.
So, who has the more connections with producers then?
Definitely her. I don't.
Wow.
I'm by myself, honestly. I'm not really right now. I'm like just building. I work, so I'm just saving money, investing into my own setup, going to be getting a space. So I'm not really reaching out to people and like making connections. You know, I'm trying to have a platform before I start doing anything.
Right. Is that hard for you to do, like not focusing on making connections? Like,
yeah, I think about it, you know, because you go on social media and you see people winning and like, you know, you're like, damn, like they're winning, and like, you know, it makes me feel good because like I like to see people do good and stuff, but I'm also like, damn, am I not doing enough? But then I have to like go back and be like, okay, I have a plan on what I actually want to do, and what's actually going to benefit me the most. You know, I love learning, I love researching, so you know, I take into account everything and just try to stay on the path that I think is best.
Right. Do you think you kind of fall into that stigma though in Seattle of not connecting, or are you willing to connect with people, you're just not reaching out?
Yeah, I'm willing to connect with people and I like working with others. I think what's the word?
Reserved?
I'm not a reserved person. Like, I'm an outward introvert, or like I'm a social introvert. I would say, like, you know, I love making conversation and talking with people and stuff. But a lot of the time, you know, I don't get recharged by being with people. I get recharged by being at the house, you know. But I like making connections and being with people. I mean, I work a retail job 8 hours a day, so I'm not really like great. I love to talk to people all day. 16 hours a day, you know, 8 hours is enough.
See, that makes sense. So that's important to have these interviews. So if people are like, oh, why is he not reaching out to me? Maybe it's because I work at a retail job and I'm talking to people 24/7 anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
But when you guys are both reaching out to people, are you reserved with who you work with, or how does?
Absolutely.
Definitely. I think I've definitely learned to be more reserved. I think at the beginning it's really easy to have this mentality of like, I have to work with everybody no matter what, like it's exposure, but honestly what's the most beneficial is honestly deciding what's best for you and what's beneficial to you. I started charging people for features, because you just have to. I find it really important to know
Right.
your value.
Yeah, it's a business opportunity, and
Right.
obviously, if I'm reaching out to someone, I'm not going to be like, "Hey, pay me for this." I'm gonna be like, if I really like your music, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, I'll make something for free." You know, I'm not really sending out beats like that anymore, or I haven't really ever. It's just not my style.
Right.
But definitely, it's all about just like being cordial with people. But yeah, I take the music thing very seriously. So if I don't like someone as an artist, I am not hitting you up. You know, that's just, it is what it is.
Right.
And it's like not
Yeah.
anything against the person. They can be hella cool, and my friend. But if I don't like your music, it is what it is.
Right. What's the first step in charging people though? Because some people have a problem figuring out how to do that because they don't want to be rude.
Right.
Other people get it's a weird line between that because some people are
It's
too
definitely hard.
yeah.
Yeah, I found that especially being a woman, it's really hard sometimes.
That's facts.
To charge people, especially in Seattle. I feel like there's a lack of female artist community here. Like
Right.
guys tend to hype each other up and work together and all that hustle, you know. But women are kind of pitted against each other as if, you know, the same in any community. But definitely when it comes to charging people, this is why I've been looking around for a manager, because it's really hard for people to come to me. People come to me all the time. Guys hit me up, they slide in my DMs. They're like, hey, can you feature? Like, give me a feature. Like, I like your voice, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yeah, that's great. Like, sounds good to me. Just so you know, I charge. And I've gotten like the most ridiculous responses. Someone sends you like the
Crazy
skull
shit.
emoji and it's like, LOL. Like, nah.
Yeah.
Well, just like,
Oh,
don't
shit,
hit
you're
me back.
charging?
Like,
What?
haha, you charge. Like,
Wow.
It's like,
You know, it's
yeah,
just hard
because
to
I'm
get-
actually good and you suck.
yeah, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Come on now.
yeah.
And I'm not hating on nobody, no names. But
that
I
makes
just want to
sense.
speak on kind of what she said, especially I think some of the actual dopest artists in Seattle are all women, like, and there are like a few dope men who I think are doing some cool stuff, but for the most part, the women in Seattle are fucking fire.
Right.
And yeah, I just wanted to say that as a man and like that perspective.
Do you guys know Paris Alexa?
Exactly.
Shout
I'm
out
trying to
to
reach out. I'm trying to get an
Exactly.
interview with her. Damn.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
she's
dope.
super cool.
How do you like describe like the connection base with like women? Though, like how is that working in Seattle?
It's harder, but when you find, I feel like people who are really motivated in music, women specifically, are definitely more inclined to facilitate that community.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a lot of, I feel like the connections that I do have with female artists are much more meaningful to me than the many more connections I have with male artists.
Weird. Wow.
Yeah, that's very true. We've been in the room with a few women, and yeah, they are few and far between. But every time the connection is much more genuine, they're much more down to earth. A lot of the guys like have this type of, oh, I'm this, I'm that. When you have 2,000
Superficial.
followers on Instagram, like that doesn't
Right.
mean anything. You
Yeah.
know, we're like, what does that mean? You only have 2,000. Everyone has 2,000 followers. Like you're not doing anything. Maybe you have 30,000 views on a video with a page that has 500,000 subscribers.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
be real here. And that's not a diss against anyone, but it's just like, for the most part, we've been in the rooms with women who are hella cool, hella down to earth, and can be the opposite from me.
Right. The instant gratification of followers really doesn't mean anything,
It
honestly.
Yeah,
Not
it's,
at
it's
all.
a plague.
Especially when you have 2,000 followers and you get 100 likes. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, come on now, or even more. You have
Yeah.
10,000 followers and you're getting 300 likes. What does that mean? It doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything. You have
Right.
no engagement. Your Spotify profile, you only have 400 monthly listeners.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Come on now.
But how does that work though? If Seattle's such a like hypocritical place in type
for
of
sure.
way.
That's facts.
But how can it be such a welcoming environment from like a bird's eye, but not when you actually dive into it?
Yeah,
Very
yeah, for
weird.
sure. I think there's definitely, I think it goes back to the whole political bubble that we think we're in. It's like Seattle tends to think that we're this like creative, like fostering creativity kind of community, and then when you really get in there, it's like everyone's just fighting because we all want to be like, no, I'm creative, no, I'm fostering
Yeah.
all these connections, no, I'm being
That's
the one
facts.
pushing music in Seattle, you know?
I'm really doing something.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, what do you mean? Nobody knows you. It's not a diss on anyone. It's just
Yeah.
it's just like, what are you actually doing? Why are you talking to me like this?
Right.
Because you're not doing anything.
That's
It's
so
ridiculous.
That's so weird because even like the legends that have come out of Seattle aren't really truly helping the youth in
That's
a way.
facts.
For sure. Shout out Macklemore.
He does have he has the residency, but
Yeah.
even that's not getting like spotlighted, and that's been going around for like 5 years now.
Yeah, 5
Yeah.
years. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, shout out Macklemore, I guess. I'm not trying to diss him right out there. But in reality, I feel like it's just hard in Seattle. There's not a lot of spaces.
Right.
Seattle is very much a 21 and up type of town.
Yeah.
All the places are 21 and up to go to shows and whatnot. And when rap shows do occur, shout out Lebo, we were just in the studio with him like a couple weeks ago, and he posted on his story, I think it was the Crocodile, they're like, oh, we're not doing any rap shows because of something that happened. It's like hard because people are very resistant to
Right.
the activity that goes down.
What do you think needs to happen to go around changing the Seattle connection thing?
I think that's a hard question to ask because it's definitely related to the types of people who want to create music, which is, there's an emphasis on doing it because it's the cool thing to do instead of doing it because you're passionate about
That's
it.
facts.
And I think that's especially a big trend in Seattle because we're such like a music city.
Right. Do you
Yeah.
guys see a change coming though? Because I'm talking with artists and they see some change. Some people don't see a change at all.
I think so. I think right now, because it's definitely more highlighted that Seattle is kind of a tough community to be in, just because people are noticing that more, I think
Yeah.
the connections that are happening now are definitely more meaningful. When I talk to people about what I see going on and they agree with me, like that's one more spot where we can be like, yes, this is like we have a good community
Nice.
here, the two of us,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on that, I feel like down the line in 10, 15 years, once people are more established and a different genre of music is like where it's at, because obviously that's going to happen, that we're going to start getting more emphasis on like places for young people to be,
Right.
to meet each other, and also social media will be much more streamlined and not like there won't be a whole bunch of fake followers and stuff, so you know who's real, you know who's doing stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I do think some of the stuff is changing, like Friendly Fire. I think I don't remember the dude's name who runs that, but he does all like a bunch of music videos for people, and I
Right.
feel like just having artists who are putting stuff on their platform helps everyone out, like videographers and engineers and producers and stuff like that. So
Right.
I do think it's changing, but it'll be kind of slow.
What do you guys each think the Seattle sound is right now?
Oh, I think that's hard.
That's so hard. Definitely a lot of people trying to do like the West Coast thing, or like the auto tune. Anyone I can hop on auto tune and make a fire track. And I'm not nothing special. So, but yeah, definitely people trying to be other people.
Right. Right.
That's the sound. Let's be real.
real.
For a lot of people, which kind of sucks. But I do think there are some really dope artists. But it's all over the place. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the group of people that I generally work with or know, definitely hip hop based. I think a lot of Seattle is hip hop based.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool bands around Seattle too. Like, there's tons of indie bands, smaller rock bands.
Right.
I think that's never gonna.
That's
leave
definitely
Seattle.
the biggest music community, and for like the youth, we're not really tapped into that.
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, a lot of those clubs are over 21.
It's the ageist
And
thing.
yeah,
For
it's
sure.
very much an ageist thing, and it's also like a generational thing. Like, we like trap music and loud music and shit like that. And I'm not saying they don't either, but when they were growing up, there was like Nirvana and all those bands, which I love. But that's what they grew up with, so
Right.
they're still going to stuff like that. The older generation, the
Right.
boomers. No, I'm just
The boomers.
I'm
Okay,
playing, I'm
boomers.
playing.
So how did you guys each individually find your voice?
I think, honestly, this might sound a little weird, but my middle school was, like, super instrumental, I feel, in creating who I am. I went to Seattle Girls School,
Oh, cool.
and I loved it. I think that the emphasis on being an independent, strong woman and voice in the community was definitely influential in my personality, especially as it shows in my music. Like, a lot of my songs are about, like, being that bitch and like doing what I want to do and saying what I want to say and not being ashamed. You know, like I have a diss song coming out in a couple weeks, like, you know. So definitely being in a space like that helps.
Yeah, that song's fire. It's not like a diss song.
Right.
It's a fire
It's
song.
fire. Yeah, but being in a space like that really pushed me to say what I want and stand up for myself was definitely creating who I am as a musician.
Right.
Personally, I don't feel like I have my voice as an artist quite yet. And I recognize that, you know, I'm still experimenting with stuff. Like I said, I really like rock music. I'm really into that right now. And, you know, I do kind of go through musical phases. Like I was listening to EDM for 4 years. I've been listening to trap for 4 years. Like that's kind of what it is. And now I'm kind of in that rock phase. And I want to blend those all together. I just started learning guitar. And, yeah, that takes time. But, you know, I'm ready for the grind because I'm really trying to do something different with what's going on in Seattle.
He goes through the most hardcore phases ever.
Hella hard. Like it's hard for me to listen to any music right now because I'm so into like listening to Zeppelin.
Right.
You know, like Since I've Been Loving You, it's the best Zeppelin song at me.
So, when you were in that EDM phase, were you able to actually like listen to that in your headphones? Like,
oh, absolutely. I love EDM. And it's crazy because I listen to it now and I don't like hate it, but it's like hard for me to listen to, especially since there's so much like watered down music now.
Right.
Like when I was listening to it, it was so different. Like it was the craziest thing I've ever heard. But now a lot of it does sound the same, and there are experimental artists, even in Seattle, who I think are really dope. Shout out Chong the Nomad. She's not super EDM, but she is a DJ, and she's a super awesome artist in Seattle.
Right.
But yeah, I was listening to it, and it really helps me now as a producer because that's very intense production, and I wasn't doing that necessarily when I was listening, but it helped me pick up on a lot of things that I implement now.
That's sick. Have you guys been to raves at all?
No, we got invited to a rave, but he has to work, so we're not gonna go.
Yeah, bummer. It was It was the Millennium show.
Yeah.
Which that would have been dope.
Yeah.
They're always in Seattle for some reason, like 24/7.
Yeah, he's
awesome.
that shit's crazy. And I always wanted to go to raves, but I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
You know? And it is an age thing too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it,
For
it's
sure.
clubs. You know, so it's 21 and over. So it wasn't really a scene that I got into, but I still think it's cool, and I like that music. So.
Dude, the Dylan Francis concert over the
He's
summer,
dope.
that was so fun. It was crazy because they started at like 3 and ended at 8.
Yeah.
So there was still so much time to do stuff after the concert.
Yeah, that's fun. We went to the last day of Bumbershoot.
Yeah.
And Rez, who's a literal techno DJ, an actual techno DJ, it's like really dark. It was a really cool set. We had to leave a little early, but we also saw like Louis the Child, which was cool.
That was crazy. Her set was insane. I was just sitting on like the bleachers way in the
Yeah,
back.
Rez's-
I'm like a
Rez's set
stand in
was
the back
crazy.
concert
Yeah.
kind
Me
of
too, me
person.
too.
And I was just sitting there like just staring, like losing my mind while watching her.
And like I'm sober and stuff, so like there's no drugs involved, and I was like, dude, I'm tripping. This shit's crazy.
That's cool.
For real.
So what do you guys want to each use your platforms to do as you continue to grow?
Social justice is definitely at the core of what I want to do in life. I want to, make a change. I want to stand up for people. I want to advocate. Yeah, social justice.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, social justice itself isn't my main focus. Really, it's empowering the people around me, and hopefully more than that, but really like empowering Seattle and the people around me to have the opportunities that I don't have, and stuff like that, and building platforms for people, talking about like the changing of the culture and stuff. That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that, the people who aren't rich in Seattle aren't being driven out.
What cities do you maybe get inspiration from that you want Seattle to more look like? Of course, we can talk about the music, but is there any city that you think of that the culture there is actually very inviting?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't been to too many cities. I've heard a lot of good things about Vancouver. I've heard
Canada.
Yeah, for real.
No one can say anything better about Canada.
Yeah, for real. Shit, nothing's better than Seattle. Let's give it a buck. But I feel like culturally, like Atlanta is super tight knit.
Yeah.
Music too, but like just they have so much opportunity, and people with like 10,000 followers are getting put on platform, are being platformed by artists like Migos and stuff, and I don't know them. I don't even really like their music.
Right.
But it's just that cultural aspect of people who are, you know, wanting the city to win, and it's really shown. There's hundreds of artists who are, you know, getting rich, and
Right.
that's cool. And I wish they were doing better with their money, you know, not spending on chains and you know,
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't mean anything. But yeah, I mean, that's also one of the things is like wanting to invest money the right way,
Right.
and teach people how to be, you know, economically efficient. Like, you know, there's people my age who are not doing anything. They're just sitting on their couch. You know, I'm 18,
Right.
and older too, who are not doing anything. And you know, nothing against them, but I just feel like if, as a society, we were taught that more, then people would be going out and doing it instead of just like dropping out of college because they
Right.
don't know what they want to do. I was lucky to be able to attend a private school through Rainier Scholars, if anyone knows what that is. I went to UPrep and I learned a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, I just want to see people win,
Yes.
for real.
It seems obvious, but it's going to be this generation that changes how things are.
For sure. I think up until now, and definitely still a lot of people in this generation, but there's always been this kind of mindset that's like, I didn't get any help getting to where I want to go, so everyone else should be able to do this too. But I think what's more important is that now we're kind of in a place where we can create better opportunities for the next people. Like, I don't want to, you know, like, make it big and then be like, oh, everyone else going through what I went through when I
Yeah.
was 17, like, should have to
Yeah,
work
you
their
gotta
way
do
up,
that shit
you know?
too.
No.
you know?
Yeah, like, I want to be able to, because I know how I feel right now. I would love it if someone came down and was like, you know, like, I know how hard this is for you. I'm going to do something to
I'ma
help
do
you.
a lot
I
of
want to
shit
be
for
able to
you.
go back and
I'm
be like,
investing
I
in
see
you.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm going to help you instead of being like, I figured it out. You better figure it out too.
Right.
Yeah, and I do think there is a beauty in that, but I feel like for a lot of people, support is needed. You know, you don't know what family issues are going on. Like,
Right.
we are both lucky enough where our family situation isn't, you know, drastic
Right.
or something that's super uncomfortable, which is great. But I feel like for people whose situation is like that, you know, they need some help.
There needs to be
You
a
know?
bigger support system.
There needs to be at least the option for that. you
Yeah.
know? And there's not in
Some
Seattle.
kind
for
of
real.
support system.
Right. So what are some highlights about being a female artist in Seattle, though?
I think it's definitely very special. I feel like because it's so saturated with like male artists all doing the same thing, like just being a woman, being an artist in Seattle kind of gives you an edge.
Right.
It's true.
I like sure I get like shitty responses to saying that, oh, like I'm a 17-year-old girl doing whatever I'm doing, but I also get these like wow kind of responses. You know, I get a lot of opportunities because I'm a little different. You know, a lot of people want to work with me because I have this kind of sound that they can't find in a bunch of other people because
Right.
a bunch of other people like me don't really exist.
Right.
It's very true.
Yeah.
So is it more common that when there are female artists that they're all unique, or do they ever fall in the same category as male artists where they try to sound like Little Mosey or anything like that?
I think on a large scale, like when you look at famous artists, there's definitely groups of both men and women who sound very similar. I don't know. I think in Seattle, there's just so many different influences that a person can have, especially because there's so many subcultures in Seattle that it's
Right.
a lot less likely that you're going to be doing the same exact thing that
Right,
someone else is
right.
going to be doing.
It's true. It's true. But I mean, think about it this way: like in the '80s, the popular genre of music was like the hair metal scene. You know, Motley Crue and all that, Poison, all that stuff.
Right.
And it was huge.
Mhm.
And then when like that was immediately ended by like Nirvana and stuff coming out. Like literally, you can look this up. This is facts. And this is kind of the era that we're in with rap, where it's like partying and, you know, doing all that stuff, drugs, money, blah blah blah. So like, there's gonna be an end to it very soon because it's getting watered down and saturated.
Wow, that actually makes so much
You know
sense.
what I'm saying? Like, I've just been doing a lot of research, and it just that's literally the same era of rock in the 80s
Right.
is the era of rap that we're in right now.
Right.
You know, with people not having a lot of substance. And there is great music, don't get me wrong, I love a lot of it. You know, even Playboi Carti, who isn't saying anything at all, is still great,
Right.
in my opinion. But there are really dope artists, don't get me wrong,
That
even
makes-
in Seattle. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That kind of opened my eyes. I think it's important to actually talk to people who are kind of being low key, though, because just because they're not talking doesn't mean they're not thinking and
That's
researching.
facts.
For sure.
Every day I'm at work, nothing to do, just fucking thinking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what is some advice that you guys have each for up-and-coming Seattle artists, creators, influencers?
Ooh, advice. Advice is to make as much music as possible, and don't focus on like getting your clout up immediately. Think about how you can improve. Invest your money into music. Don't be buying these clothes.
For
Sure. Don't be trying to get your image right when you have no music for it. It doesn't make any sense. You see people blowing, $10,000 on clothes.
Like if you get mugged or something, you're screwed. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You got, and I like fashion and stuff, so I'm not wearing anything hella nice and fancy.
Right.
But I like to look good. But I'm not spending hella money on it. I'm investing my money, and you should start doing that too. If you're wondering what to do, invest in your music, learn, talk to people. You're not better than anyone. I'm not better than anyone. Nobody's better than anyone. We're all trying to do the same thing, and just know that.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's super essential to, first of all, know your worth. I have gained so much from just being able to say, hey, this is what I deserve. I'm going to get paid at shows that I do. I'm going to get paid if you want a feature from me. I'm going to tell you what I want and tell you what I like and tell you what my music is. And I think the second thing is definitely, it sounds cliche, but treat it like a business.
Right.
As soon as it stops being like, oh, I'm also a musician, and you embody that, everything changes. Like, you
Right.
go on Instagram, you're like, my Instagram is my music Instagram. You don't need a
Yeah.
separate Instagram for your music. Like, just
Yes.
treat it like a business. Work on your music. Market your music. Learn how to brand yourself. Learn how to embody what you need to in order to be who you want to be.
Right.
And focus on that after your music's good. Don't
Yeah, yeah,
compromise.
yeah.
Don't compromise your music for business, because that's just clout chasing at that
Yeah,
point.
but learn how to turn that into a
Exactly.
business.
Learn
Right.
how to turn your actual good music and craft into something that's going to make you money and going to help you, your family, and the people around you out.
Sure.
That makes sense. Do you guys think you have the essential resources you need right now, or what are the resources you need to take it to the next level?
I think everyone could always use more resources. For me right now, I'm definitely just trying to focus on making more music. I tend to get caught up in I have a lot of different sounds. I'm putting out a lot of music that sounds pretty different from the other music I've put out.
Right.
So for me right now, it's just being able to do all of those things without trying to get too caught up in the future. So just being able to work in my little community, like having a space to record, having people to talk to, and be around me. Definitely always working with new people is
Right.
super helpful.
Exactly. I think knowing what position you're in right now and what level you're at, and looking at the resources that you have and what you actually need to progress to the next level. Not
Yes.
4 levels above, not 5, not 2, the next level.
Right.
Like for me personally, that's getting a job, which I have, saving my money, spending it on equipment so I can start bringing in artists to my place
Right.
and recording them and making music with them.
Right.
So personally, I do think I have the resources right now where I can progress to the next level. But I don't know what those resources are for the next level after that, because I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about it right now.
Right.
So yeah, I think so. I feel like we're all in a place to do shit with the internet. Look at Lil Mosey. I knew about Lil Mosey 2 years before he blew up.
Right.
And he had a song that had 250,000. But he just blew up off Elevator. He didn't blow up with no connections, nothing. He got signed after that.
Right.
And yes, he did have friends, he did have support, but let's be real here. He did that shit because the music was good. Good enough.
So plan for the future, but live in the present,
That's facts.
Definitely.
for sure.
The near future,
Yes.
not. But think about 5 years down the line, but plan for 1 year.
Right.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
That's my advice, I guess.
Right.
Everything can change in a year. Like people tend to think about oh, I haven't blown up yet. What's gonna happen next week? I need to be popular next week. My next song needs to
Facts.
blow up. But if I think about where I was a year ago, I was
Facts.
putting out one EP with pop music that did not sound anything like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I knew nobody. I had no connection. So think in terms of years instead of terms of weeks.
Even the quality on that shit was
Trash.
way worse than what it is right now.
Yeah.
We're upgraded. If you listen to our last song, Waves, which is only I think 8 months after that came out, it's completely different. And
Right.
this next song is completely different than
Completely
Waves.
different.
This shit is like for
Comes
real.
out tomorrow.
Yeah, for real. Comes out tomorrow. It's hella fun.
It won't
Go
be
get
tomorrow,
it.
Though.
What?
It'll be already came out by the time you're hearing this. Probably.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
the song dropped November 25th. Neon Tongue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go stream that.
It's
Lorelai.
important to grow, right?
Absolutely.
Growing is important. So what are some final words that you guys both have for Seattle?
I don't know. Like, go find me on Instagram. Go find me on Spotify.
Laureli, Laureli.
That's my
On
head man.
everything. And me personally, Moses Ray Walker, just as it sounds. Moses, RAYWALKER. And one S, one E.
Sounds awesome.
MOSES.
Yes. This is DJ Blake and
Lorelai.
Moses Walker, Moses Ray Walker.
There we go.
DJ Blake.